Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks and Ungainly Titan. We're here on Mountain Pass with the T-54E1. The American Tier 9 medium tank with the first shot autoloader that moves on to the T-57 Heavy, and I'm about halfway through. It's a Tier 9 match, but it's not strongly Tier 9. But we're on Mountain Pass, which tends to be all frontal fighting, and my experience with the T-54E1 so far is that I can never shoot at anybody without them shooting back at me. And usually putting the rounds through, this tank does not bounce shots, or at least it doesn't bounce many shots. Initially I plan to sneak up here along the side, peek around the corner and see if I can spot anyone crossing the gap at the other side of the frozen lake. I don't want to hang around there though. It's become a kind of a recent method that people spend quite a bit of time skirmishing across the frozen lake, and it depends on the tank, but I don't think it's always the most profitable activity. It's certainly not something that that's worthwhile doing to the sacrifice of sending tanks down the one line. I think it's pretty important that tanks go down the one line as well, and what I've noticed is particularly, well, on both sides, that tanks get so engrossed in shooting across the gap that they neglect going down the one line, and then the other team sends a couple of tanks. The next thing, they get hit on the flank, and the position collapses pretty rapidly after that. So I think somebody needs to go down this way. I have a KV-5 with me, and there's a medium tank following up behind. So at least not everybody's there. And we reached the corner here unopposed so far, so we haven't actually spotted anybody yet until we get to the corner and we spot the light tank. But he pulls back before I can get a shot on him. And I was just looking at the replay there, and I get caught by a tank destroyer that's around the corner here that I was unaware of. But he was actually spotted. I should have been aware of him if I was paying attention to the minimap like I'm supposed to. So I decided to cross this way. Well, initially I decided to get some shots in these tanks. I get a one into the light tank, who rather foolishly kind of strolled out in front of everybody's guns there, and but I don't get a shot on the VK4502 or the King Tiger. But I start taking fire from that tank destroyer there on my left, and I'm not reloaded. But I decided to keep going, get hull down into this location. My tracks ate one of the shots, but one of them went through. And he decided not to hang around here for everyone to come around the corner and kill him. He will slide down into the frozen lake, and while I am paying attention to the tank destroyer, I take a round through the front of my tank from the King Tiger. So I'm fully loaded now. I come around the corner, I track the King Tiger, and I start putting rounds into him. Now I take a hit, and I managed to bounce one of those rounds, so only 2 effective penetrations. But I'm picking up the tracking damage, and the King Tiger is gone. So now it's the VK4502, and I do not want to come out again when I am not fully loaded. It's kind of a habit I had at the start, underestimating the amount of time left in the reload on this tank, because even though it doesn't look like much right now, it still amounts to a considerable amount of seconds. So you're better off waiting for the tank to be fully reloaded before you kind of expose yourself again. I take a shot, but I bounce it, I track him, and I start putting rounds through his lower front plate, and we finish him off. We get some tracking damage as well there. So we've gotten quite a bit of damage done here at this point, and I need to pull forward. I just want to see who's at the corner, so to speak, and what exactly is going on. So we arrive at the corner, and there's a T-28 prototype up there, so I pull back straight away. I don't want to take a hit from them. There's a very effective tank or at least a tank with a very effective gun. The hull armour is pretty good on the T28 prototype, but the turret cheeks are quite soft, and anybody that knows what to do with them tends to have no problem putting rounds through them. And higher tier tanks, I think, can put rounds through the frontal armour anyway. It doesn't really matter, particularly premium rounds from higher tier tanks. Although the penetration on the T54E1 isn't the best. But anyway, we come up, we spot artillery in the base, we back off, we draw the bead, and we take the shot and we get the kill. And now we have more with the T28 prototype. He had pulled back. I really don't understand what the T28 prototype thought he was doing. I mean, he was up there to shoot people that came around the corner, and then when people came around the corner, he was gone. Now, he did put a round into me, but I think that's about the only effective round he did. So, but he's left me on fairly low health. And there are 4 enemy tanks remaining, and there is one of them up near our base. There's another one under the bridge, and 2 of them are unknown. But I'm going to come up this side. Maybe we'll make it. The tank under the bridge is attempting to flee, and it's coming this way. So there is a chance they'll pick up another kill here. That's if the tanks pursuing him don't get him first. The T69 doesn't get him before I do. So he's taking damage, so the pursuing tanks are catching up. And he's turned at bay, and I don't get the kill. So, but that's probably fair enough. The other guys worked for it. We still have a heavy tank in the base, so that is where one of the other heavy tanks is. And the enemy artillery, the remaining enemy artillery, is unknown. So I thought initially I'm going to go this way and come up from the south towards the base. We have a medium climbing the ice road, glacier path, and he has run into the artillery, and he's died at the hands of the artillery. And at this point I changed my mind. I reckon the tank destroyer is going to make it to the southern side of the base, and he can deal with the heavy tank in the base. And I can come up in case the T69 doesn't make it against the artillery, because he's a one-shot, I'm a one-shot, we're all one-shots, but if we can come at him close enough before he gets the reload in, we will kill him. Now, the T69 would be better off if he waited until I was almost up to him before he crested the ridge, because then he could guarantee that the artillery would die, and he has died from the artillery, so this artillery player is pretty dangerous. But it is a one-shot, and this is where I screw up. I come over the crest, the ridge, there's the artillery, there is the E75, and I focused on the artillery, and in fact I think I should have gone the other way. I should have gone up behind the tank, relied on the carcass of the tank to cover me from the artillery, and gone for the E75. I don't know if I'd have taken the E75, because he's not a one-shot. It would probably at least 2 shots to get him down. However, I get 5 kills. I don't get the top gun. The E75 takes a hit. He's now a one-shot for anyone that comes at him, and he's forced to withdraw. But there's a heavy tank coming up against him, and the heavy tank screws up. He doesn't position himself to catch the E75 coming over the ridge and put a shot into his lower front plate. And he misses the shot there, so the E75 is going to get him. And there he is, he's gone. So now it's pursuing Borsig, and the Borsig bounces one off the E75. E75 fluffs the return shot, and the Borsig comes in for another go. And he's just takes the hit from now. Is the Borsig? He fluffs that shot, I think. I don't know if the E75 fired there. Somebody drove up snow, but I'm not sure who. But the E75 comes up, which I think was a mistake on his part. He's tracked the Borsig and possibly damaged him, but there's a very big gun on those Borsigs, and if you didn't take him out with that shot, he wasn't going to survive the return shot from the Borsigs, so he didn't. So it's game over. Got a high caliber, first class mastery. Escucci's medal for taking out the artillery. Did over 4k damage and did almost 2k assisted damage from those tracking shots. So I think the disappointing bit there is that I really handled the end of that game badly, and I could have done better and I should have done better. But other than that, you know, it was a pretty satisfying game. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, please consider giving it a like and giving the channel a subscription. And I'll catch you all again soon.